Hi guys, Kaiser here, and welcome to another Age of Empires 3 video. This time, we're looking at a unique Spanish strategy called the Rodelero Rush. And I've got to say, if you saw my last Age of Empires 3 video on the British Manor Boom, buckle in for a very different kind of strategy, because this one is all about the early game. It is all about getting aggression out as fast as possible and dictating the tempo of the match. So, how does the build order work? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the build order first, and then we'll talk about the Rodelero itself, right? So, the point of the strategy is to go all in on food. As soon as the match starts, you take your 6 villagers, right? 3 of them, you put them right onto hunt. And the other 3, you focus on your food crates. And as soon as you wrap up your food crates, you take 2 of them, put them on hunt. The last villager gets done with the last crate, you put them on hunt. Everybody goes on to food to get up to the commerce age as quickly as possible. Let me pull up my deck here. Well, we're going to see in a second once I pick test 1. What you're going to do is prioritize as soon as you can. Get out your 3 settler card, because we want to get up to 16 villagers as quickly as possible. And you're also going to want to send the 300 wood. Why? Well, you're going to need to afford a barracks, a couple of houses. You want to make sure you don't get pop capped. And because we're putting everybody on food, we don't have enough wood to pull that off without the 300 wood bonus. So make sure you send these 2 cards before you get up to age 2, the commerce age. While we're, kind of getting our build going here, and again, it's very simple. One of the things I like about this strategy is the build order is very straightforward to remember. 16 vills, all of them on food, right? And we'll make some changes once we hit the commerce age. But while we're building our vills here, training them, let's talk a little bit about the Rodelero itself. Why would you want to do a Rodelero Rush? The Rodelero is a heavy infantry swordsman. He's pretty fast. In mass, he can be countered fairly easily by many units. In my experience, I've played against Doppelsoldners that'll beat Rodeleros. If you get up enough musketeers, the musketeers tend to win, partly because of the range, and they're pretty good at melee combat as well. Skirmishers in enough mass will beat Rodelero. So the thing about the Rodelero is they're fast and they can come out very quickly. And incidentally, they also have bonus damage against cavalry. So if your opponent happens to open cav, that's a good choice. But if you're able to mass up enough Rodelero and establish military domination early, you're able to win the game, just right at the start. And that's why you'd want to go Rodelero. Now, one of the things that's interesting, and maybe some commenter in the video below can help me out with this, is I have read competing theories about the proper place of the Rodelero in a typical game. I read on the wiki, I think, that the Rodelero is a strong late game unit. But I also read a comment saying, no, the Rodelero kind of falls off late game and that they're stronger in the early game. And I honestly don't know where they fall on that. So I would love to get some feedback maybe on where they go. Okay, this is key. This is a good moment right here. So, we've just clicked up to the commerce age. And as soon as you click up to the commerce age, you want to take 4 of your vills, put them on gold, 3 of them, and put them on wood. And then you want to take 2 vills and send them forward toward the enemy base. Try to send them toward maybe some hunt and lure the hunt away from the enemy base. Just makes it that much harder. And if you can, while you're doing all that, use your explorer to scout around the enemy's base and try to find weak points and vulnerabilities. So the goal here, we want to get up our gold production as well as our food production in order to make sure we can afford Rodeleros. Because we win or lose on the basis of getting a significant mass of Rodelero as soon as possible. And we just overwhelm our opponent, right? We're also, again, when I practiced this build several times, I just got pop capped. It was very easy because of the military shipments you can send.
Hola.
Okay, these guys should be doing something. They need to go onto wood. This is one of those do what I say, don't... Do what I say, not what I do moments, right? Don't leave your vills idle. That doesn't help your build. Okay. As soon as we hit age 2, and probably the reason they are idle is because I'm so focused on any second now. There it is, age 2. Right away, these guys should throw down a barracks. Now, briefly, let me talk about my opponent. I'm playing against Whippy Frog 55057, and I happen to notice, looking at his deck, that this is it's kind of a greedy late game sort of build, a greedy late game deck, and this is perfect for my schemes. The Rodelero Rush will work perfectly here because, you know, if you look at his deck, he's only got a single military shipment, 6 musketeers, and I'm planning on pumping out 12 Rodelero, and that should be enough to overwhelm 6 musketeer, and then he's got nothing as far as his deck goes remaining to push me back. So meanwhile, with my deck, I've sent these two. You must immediately, as soon as you can, in the Rodelero, in the Commerce Age, ship the 7 Rodelero card. You're shipping 7 and training 5 out of your deck. And then after that, with your next shipment, you can keep the pressure on by sending either the 6 Rodelero card, which I don't have in my deck, but there's a 6 Rodelero option. Keep your Rodelero numbers up. Or you can go with 8 Pikemen, which actually have 3 times as much siege damage as Rodeleros do, so they'll destroy buildings even better. All right, your goal with the Rodeleros: kill military units and military production buildings. That is your priority. And after that, take out vills, and that sort of lets you establish domination. Whippy here, as soon as he saw the 12 Rodelero in his base, he said, I'm going to shut down the barracks, right? He can't get that up. At that point, he doesn't even know what to do. He's got nothing left, and he just calls the GG early. So I hear you saying, Kaiser, hey, great strat, really appreciate being introduced to it, but, you know, this wasn't even a fight, right? Let me see some real action. Well, don't worry. I've got a second game for you. Let's boot it up. Here we go. Okay, guys, here we are in game number 2. And this one's going to be a little bit more intense, but it follows the exact same build order. So we start off with 3 of our vills on hunt right away. The other 3 start working on the food crates. And as soon as those food crates are done, I'm taking 2 of them, putting them on hunt. Once the last villager gets done with all of the crates, she's going on to hunt. Every villager at the start is going on to food in order to get us to the Commerce Age as quickly as possible. You know, I've got to credit this idea to one of the comments I received in my last video. Someone left a comment saying, hey, Kaiser, really enjoyed the video, a lot of fun, kind of slow on the, uptime. Like, there are opportunities to age up a lot faster. And I was thinking, well, how is that possible? Not that he's wrong, he's obviously right, I'm learning the game. But what can I do to get up faster? And I realized there are build orders out there like this where if you put absolutely everyone on food, you can get up to the Commerce Age right away. Now, that is maybe a little dangerous. I would imagine that there are fast fortress builds, what we AoE2 players might think of as a fast castle, that would require you split your villagers more evenly among the different resources, right? Or you send them back and forth once you hit certain benchmarks, right? Like, hey, I need 300 gold for this thing, so I'll put villagers on gold, and as soon as I get that gold amount, I'll pull them off onto something else, right? But in this case, it's a pretty straightforward build. I really like it because it's easy to remember. 16 vills all on food, right? My opponent in the red is Carlos Cienspo, playing as the Republic of Mexico, which I have to say is a rather appropriate matchup. Spain versus Mexico. We shall see who emerges victorious. And if we take a look at his build, let's see if we've got... I don't think, as I give him a good luck, have fun, I don't think he's picked a deck yet. But once he does, we'll be able to see that he is going rather heavily into the haciendas, which are the Mexican unique building, or one of them anyway. I've not played a lot of Mexico yet, but they are a lot of fun. I certainly don't have any build orders with Mexico. Talk about a civ that has a lot of moving pieces. The Mexicans, between their many, many revolution options and the unique units and how you can use the haciendas, there's a lot of moving parts. So they would require some research on my end, for sure. Let's see. Does my opponent... Okay, he has picked his first card, so we can take a look at his deck. And if we take a look here, we've got the Alondiga de Granaditas, which ships 2 settlers and an hacienda wagon. Right, so that's going to be a key thing for him. He wants to go all in on the haciendas. If we go into... Let me see. I want to say one of the cards here... It must be... Yeah, it must be one of the cards that he selects as a consequence of his politician. Because like with the United States and Mexico, you get additional city cards with each state you select to go up to the next age. So we're going to see from him in the future every card that he sends, or I'm sorry, every hacienda he sends, every hacienda he builds will give him particular bonuses. So his game plan is all about building as many of these haciendas as possible, right? I see that he's building a trade post, and I'm going to go ahead and try to respond to that with my own explorer. And I'm not really trying to stop him. You know, I can't stop him getting trading posts up, but just be annoying, you know? Now, I noticed the replay is acting a little bit slowly. This happens sometimes with Age of Empires 3. So what I'm going to do, and it's sort of weird. It's one of the things I would like the devs to try to work on to improve this replay experience. You'll notice that there's a play slowly button and a play fast button. So somehow we just sort of lagged into the slow mode. In order to get out of slow mode, I've got to speed us up a little bit. So I'm going to be alternating back and forth between slow mode and fast mode. Again, going back to my own build. You know, he's started to get into the commerce age. I'm already halfway there. Same deal. 4 villas on gold, 3 on wood, and I've got to send 2 villagers forward. Which I have to admit, I actually have not done like I should. This is a little bit of a small mistake on my part. There they are now. Getting the barracks up. I'm using my explorer while I do all this just to scout out the base. And here we go. I'm going to go into slow mode for a second. I have pulled out the first batch. Hey, this is normal mode. There we go. They call it play slowly, but that's normal mode. That works for me. So, we've got our 7 Rodolero shipped on the way. I've got 5 more queued up in the barracks. And I want to get even more out. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to have the second Rodolero card. But we're going to go pikemen to try to do some serious damage to the buildings, right? Here's the game plan. And I can't see, of course, what he's got. You know, only what my explorer has uncovered. So my goal, and what you really want to do, is shut down any early military. So if I saw the barracks, priority number 1 would be kill any military and then destroy this barracks. Now I don't see it. I come in from the wrong direction. I'm hoping to run into a barracks or whatever over here. All right, so that wasn't super useful. This is not the kind of start to the Rodelero Rush that you'd want. But I do have military and he doesn't. Let's take a look at what he's got. Yeah, here, the Maya crops. All existing and newly constructed haciendas spawn Maya crops containing 300 food. Ship 3 Maya Holken Javelineers, or Javelineers, for each hacienda you have constructed. Right, so he's got 2 up, and his game plan, was clearly build a bunch of haciendas, get a bunch of food, get a bunch of javelineers, and presumably boom up from there. Instead, he has to cook out some insurgentes early on. They go down quickly to the Rodoleros. Rodoleros aren't bad against musketeers, but it's really more a matter of the mass. You know, just having more units than your opponent does. So here's a small mistake I make. My pikemen are out, and I've got them working on the trading post while I have the Rodolero on the hacienda. I should get them together and working on the same target, to be honest with you. So he's trying to, yeah, he's sending out 10 insurgentes, and he's building 3 salteadores. So that's essentially the Mexican version of the musketeer with the insurgente. And at least I believe they're musketeer-like. The soldado is the real musketeer, but they're kind of jack-of-all-trade military. And then the salteadores, they are skirmishers, right? So this is the right unit to fight back against Rodolero. It's just a matter of size. You can only afford 3. They're going to go down to the, 10, 11 Rodoleros that I've got. Pikemen have done their job, taking out the trading post, because pikemen have 32 siege damage to the Rodoleros 10. Here are insurgentes. Yeah, and we can see here, a peasant armed with whatever they could find. So this is like the pikeman, actually, not the musketeer, right? And yeah, Rodoleros should beat insurgentes. All right. He's completely out of military at this point. What's he going to send? He's got some salteadores if he had more shipments, but we shut that down, right? With any rush, I talk about this a lot with my Age of Empires 2 game videos as well. If you're going to do a rush, it's important to stay at home and continue to produce out of your town center. What's really winning me the game is not the kills that I've gotten, the buildings I've destroyed, although that's helpful. The pressure is nice. What's winning me the game is that he's kind of stuck, not knowing what to do next, and he's so distracted he's not even producing more villagers. He's like, what's the point of producing more vills when they're just going to get wiped out by these Spanish swordsmen anyway, right? So he's stuck at 17 vills. I'm shutting down these haciendas, which are kind of like mini baby factories. Take them out. He's trying to produce more at home. He's producing more haciendas, but no more vills. I am producing more vills at home. I've got 32 to his 17. And I think that's just the nature of the pressure. Now, he's got a barracks up. And it's a little difficult because, this massive units I don't think is enough to destroy the town center. Maybe, if I had gone just even heavier into the next age, more pikemen, more Rodoleros, maybe I could have overwhelmed the town center, but my thought process at this point was to not lose the advantage I've got. Just keep harassing him, keep destroying things outside of the TC range. Yeah, and at this point, he threw down, he had 4 haciendas. And it called in the Hulken Javelineers card. 3 Maya Javelineers for each hacienda you have constructed. Right, so he's got 12 javelins. Archaic heavy infantry, good against cav buildings. Not the best anti-infantry, but again, it's really more about the mass, the sheer size. He is recovering his economy. I am back home doing very well. Hussar is the wrong choice against javelins. But what I've got, I want to highlight this actually. So while this fight is going on, I paid attention to the map, and I saw that we had access to the House of Vasa native building. And I thought to myself, well, isn't that just perfect? Because if I'm doing a Rodelero Rush, the opponent is wanting to go infantry to respond to that. Skirmishers would be an awesome choice. And if we look at the veteran Royal Arquebusier, they're a Swedish skirmisher that has additional hit points and melee damage. So skirmishers that are pretty good in the front line is exactly what I need to deal with my opponent. So, I've got these Swedish units out now. You'll notice my trading post is also firing. That's because, you know, after I picked my mainline units, I picked up the advanced trading post card. Makes your trading posts cheaper and gives them an attack, which is pretty neat. And gives them more HP too. I'm sending the fort now. I'm wanting to claim and get a lockdown on the advantage that I've built up so far. Now, I gotta say, this was actually working for him. His Salteadors have more attack than my Arquebusier do. But these Swedish units have significantly more HP, and so I think, mano a mano, that probably works out in my favor. Not to mention, once you start wheeling the falconets out, heavy cannon. That is the Swedish way. Gustavus Adolphus would be proud. Okay, fantastic. So at this point, the Rodoleros have done their job, the pikemen have done their job, and now it's all about, you know, transitioning into a mid-game, late-game sort of situation. I make a choice here that I think threatens me. This is the wrong kind of choice. Notice the eco difference, by the way. 44 vils, 43 vils versus 16. He's getting a kill or two. Good for him, but it's not really going to stop me. Anyway, I move my army forward. One of the trickiest things about RTS games in general is figuring out when to apply pressure and when to hold back and consolidate your forces, right? And I had this idea in my mind, oh, I need to go all-in pressure, more pressure, right? So I moved my units forward, the artillery's doing its job. But he happened to have a couple of chinacos out, which are heavy cav. It's like the Mexican version of the hussar. And he does a good job shutting down my artillery. I hate that I let the artillery go like that. That should not have happened, right? Just a couple of pikemen, you know, up front would have at least given him a second thought, you know. All right, he's now attacking the Arquebusier, which I think is the right call, but remember, they've got that high HP, so they're not going to go down quite as quickly as the regular skirmisher might. The fort is almost up. And at this point, my opponent, you know, he's sent everything he's got as far as military goes. His resources are on the back foot. He sees that the castle has come up, and it's got to call the GG. So, that is the Rodelero Rush. It is a really neat strategy that I think is fairly straightforward as far as the opening moves go, and it really helps set the tempo of the rest of the match. So, I hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of Vasa gameplay too. Just got to take advantage of that unique trade. But if you like the video, leave a comment. I really appreciate the comments I got in the last video, and I'm looking forward to sharing both some AoE3 and AoE2 videos, so keep your eyes out for more of those. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser, signing out.